The word embarrassment first attached itself to me at 14, the Christmas I asked for a computer instead of clothes. "She's just going through a phase," Mom assured our relatives, her voice patient, as though explaining a temporary delusion. "Once she discovers boys in makeup, all this computer nonsense will pass." 15 years later, that phase had become the family's most reliable source of discomfort. While my brother Marcus climbed the corporate ladder as an investment banker, I remained the relative who required careful explanation at dinner parties, the one too brilliant to dismiss, but too unconventional to celebrate. The pattern had been set early. When I graduated high school as valedictorian, the spotlight was on Marcus making varsity football. When I earned a full scholarship to MIT, the family celebrated his acceptance to Harvard. When I graduated summa cum laude with dual degrees in computer science and electrical engineering, everyone raised a glass to Marcus' first internship at Goldman Sachs. Academic honors earned me polite applause. Marcus' trophies earned a place on the mantel. My achievements were mentioned in passing. His dominated every family newsletter. By our 20s, the contrast had sharpened. Marcus' path was neat, comprehensible: Ivy League, Goldman Sachs, steady promotions, and marriage to Jennifer from Connecticut. Their timeline ticked along with textbook precision: college dating, engagement, wedding, first child. My path, by comparison, defied easy categories. Instead of taking a traditional job after MIT, I returned home to work in the basement, surrounded by servers, circuit boards, and prototype quantum processors. What my family saw as stalling was in reality the beginning of my research into quantum computing. "She's very bright, just not practical," Mom would say when neighbors asked. "She'll figure it out eventually." Translation: Emma was smart, but not smart in ways that mattered at cocktail parties. Marcus became everything our parents wanted in a child: Harvard MBA, corner office, a house in the right neighborhood, and a wife from the right family. At 32, he embodied conventional success, easily admired, easily explained. I, at 29, was the opposite. No husband, no traditional career, no tidy story my parents could offer at dinner parties. Just still figuring things out, as the family liked to phrase it, with computer projects no one understood. The basement lab I'd built had quietly transformed into a sophisticated research facility. What began as tinkering with quantum principles had evolved into breakthroughs in computational processing, developments my family couldn't begin to grasp. Dad made it sound respectable enough when colleagues asked, "She's very dedicated to her research." He never knew what that research entailed, but it sounded better than still playing with computers. This Christmas was especially crowded. The house brimmed with aunts, uncles, cousins, and family friends, all the high achievers. Uncle Robert, who'd turned a construction company into a multi-million-dollar empire. Aunt Patricia, running the city's most exclusive interior design firm. Cousin David, now a law firm partner. People whose success was easy to measure in revenue, clients, and promotions. Marcus just closed a $200 million acquisition deal. Dad bragged to Uncle Robert as I arranged appetizers in the kitchen. Through the doorway, I saw Marcus accept congratulations with the polished modesty of someone used to being admired. The room buzzed with questions about deal structures, regulations, and strategy, topics that reinforced his legitimacy in the world of real business. Finally, as always, the spotlight turned. "And what about Emma?" Aunt Patricia asked, carefully, as though my life were a fragile subject. Dad hesitated, just slightly. "She's still working with computers," he said. "Some kind of consulting. Very good with that sort of thing." That sort of thing, his safe phrase for a career too complicated, or too unconventional, to explain. "Is she seeing anyone?" Aunt Patricia continued, as if the real problem weren't my work but my single status. "She's very focused on her projects," Mom replied smoothly, family code for still single and probably always will be. The subtext hung heavy in the air. Emma had chosen her computer hobby over a proper career and husband, and now she was running out of time for either. "I just worry she's missing opportunities," Aunt Patricia said softly, lowering her voice as though I couldn't hear. "At her age, it's harder to start over if those interests don't lead anywhere." Mom nodded, equally gentle. "We've tried to guide her toward more traditional options, but she's always been very independent." sometimes too independent for her own good. They meant it as love, but the assumptions were clear. To them, success meant respectability, predictability, convention, and in their eyes, I had none of it. I was still chasing dead ends. According to family consensus, while superior alternatives were always available through Marcus' polished professional network. As we moved into the living room for pre-dinner conversation, I took my usual place on the sidelines. Marcus, of course, claimed the central chair by the fireplace. Jennifer sat beside him, effortlessly guiding the conversation toward their upcoming vacation in Switzerland. Their daughter played with a set of multilingual learning toys that promised to unlock genius-level cognition before kindergarten. Uncle Marcus is taking us skiing in the Alps, Jennifer beamed to the group. The resort even provides a private helicopter for accessing the best slopes. His bonus this year was extraordinary. The relatives leaned in, eager. Talk of Switzerland, private schools, investment properties, it all flowed naturally around Marcus. Their life was a blueprint of success, enviable, comprehensible, and worthy of admiration. Jennifer's voice carried the satisfaction of someone narrating a lifestyle both enviable and aspirational. The Swiss vacation wasn't simply leisure, it signaled Marcus' indispensability at Goldman Sachs. Their daughter's acceptance into Riverside Prep wasn't just about education, it was evidence of their growing social rank. Every detail reinforced their position in the hierarchy. The headmaster himself called to welcome us, Jennifer added with pride. Apparently, our daughter tested in the 99th percentile for cognitive ability. From my corner chair, the unofficial seat for those present but not central, I listened. My placement wasn't deliberate exclusion, it was social gravity. Marcus fit the family's definition of success. I didn't. Emma, why don't you share about your computer work? Mom suggested during a pause, her tone gentle but cautious, as if she were coaxing a child into the adult conversation. It's mostly technical, I said lightly, a rehearsed vagueness that shielded me from confusion or ridicule. Database management, system optimization, quantum processing applications, pretty boring unless you're into that sort of thing. Marcus chuckled, just enough condescension to remind everyone where we stood. Emma's always been better with machines than people, he said. Different strengths, right? The adults nodded knowingly. His remark fit their assumptions neatly. Marcus handled people, money, power. I tinkered with wires and code in the basement. That's wonderful, you've found something you enjoy, Aunt Patricia chimed in, her tone warm but patronizing, the same way one might praise a child's hobby. It's so important to have interests, even if they don't lead to a career. The message was clear, my work was a pastime, not a profession. When it came time for gifts, the divide deepened. Marcus and Jennifer received luxury, Italian cashmere, rare wines, jewelry from Paris. Their gifts to others gleamed with equal extravagance, reinforcing their sophistication. My presents were practical, software licenses, development kits, textbooks on quantum computing, useful, but unglamorous. Dad held up one of the books I'd given him and smiled politely. Very advanced. I'm sure it's fascinating, to people who understand these things. Dinner passed, and the evening shifted toward the year ahead. Marcus outlined his path to managing director, tossing out acronyms and deal structures that impressed the room. Jennifer described the elite preschool pipeline positioning their daughter for Ivy League futures. Uncle Robert boasted about new construction contracts. Aunt Patricia mentioned her Architectural Digest feature. Eventually, cousin Sarah, 2 years older, recently promoted at a Fortune 500, turned toward me. What about you, Emma? Any big plans? I opened my mouth, but Marcus' phone buzzed. He excused himself immediately, the importance of the call self-evident. When he returned, his expression confirmed it: validation, success, relevance. Board presentation prep, he said casually, slipping back into his chair. We're announcing a major expansion. Should mean another promotion cycle. The room erupted with questions, admiration, and eager nods. Their attention shifted seamlessly back to Marcus, where it belonged, in their eyes. And I, as always, remained on the periphery. Clear titles, impressive bonuses, tangible rewards, respect in boardrooms and country clubs. As the night stretched on, I felt myself drifting further from the family's definition of success. Their milestones were visible, comprehensible, easy to measure. Mine lived in silence, dismissed as hobbies and half-steps, invisible to anyone who couldn't read beyond the surface. In the kitchen, Marcus cornered me as we cleared dessert plates. You know, Emma, he began in his practiced, older brother tone. It's not too late for you. I could get you in at Goldman. Tech support division. Maybe. Nothing glamorous. But steady work. Good benefits. His words weren't cruel, they were sincere. To Marcus, any role inside the machine was better than building one outside it. They handle infrastructure for our trading operations, he added, almost selling me on it. It's pretty advanced. You'd be perfect there. Perfect for the basement tier. Competent, but never in the room where decisions were made. That was the story he'd written for me. Thanks, I said softly, giving the polite gratitude expected. Later, as coats were gathered and goodbyes began, Cousin Sarah, 2 glasses of wine in, delivered what she thought was an act of tough love. Emma, you're almost 30, still single, still tinkering with computers like a teenager, refusing real help. You're becoming an embarrassment to this family. The words sliced through the room. Silence followed, thick and suffocating. Heads lowered, eyes avoided mine, and then Marcus, nodding, added the quiet confirmation. Finally, someone said it. Dad looked at his hands. Mom busied herself with plates. No one disagreed. Then Dad's phone rang. A name flashed that stopped him cold. It's Richard Thompson, from the Times, he said, voice tinged with pride and nerves. Dave, sorry to intrude on Christmas. Richard's voice carried through the speaker. But I need to confirm, your daughter Emma, is she really the same Emma Forbes just named America's youngest billionaire? The room froze, air vanished. Even the grandfather clock seemed to stop ticking. Dad blinked. I'm sorry, what? Emma Chin, 29, founder and CEO of Quantum Dynamics. Richard pressed on. She's number 1 on their youngest billionaire list. Net worth, $3.8 billion. Built it from nothing, started in her basement. The IPO broke every tech record last month. Can I get an interview? Silence. Then every head turned toward me. Marcus' phone buzzed furiously with alerts, his contacts feeding him the same news he'd never imagined. Sarah's face drained of color, her words from minutes earlier still hanging in the air like a curse she wished she could swallow back. Mom whispered, Emma, is this true? I met their stunned eyes and answered in the same even tone I'd used when they called me an embarrassment. Yes, Quantum Dynamics has been my focus for the past 8 years. We went public last month. And just like that, the hierarchy collapsed. Their polished successes shrank in the shadow of something they had dismissed, misunderstood, ignored. The family's disappointment had just become its greatest triumph.